What's up guys, welcome back to another video today where we are going to be reviewing the Clash of the Titans that is Godzilla vs Kong. It's already been released overseas and is making a killing at the box office. I think it's become the highest grossing film to be released since the pandemic, which isn't saying much, but it's good to know that films are starting to return to the big screen and that audiences are still willing to go and watch it. Now, before I get into this review, which will contain spoilers, I just thought I'd mention that I did make a what should we expect video for Godzilla vs Kong a month or so ago, and I'll tag it here if you want to go and check that out first. But my predictions for what this film would be are pretty much on the money. You know, it's a dumb film and fun to watch for the fights. Basically, if that's all you want to know, turn off now. But I'm going to go into a bit more depth with full spoilers for this review, guys, so again, turn off if you haven't watched it. But let's start with the positives for this film. Kong. Kong gets an arc, and for the first time in one of these MonsterVerse movies, the creatures of the title actually feel like characters. You know, Kong is the character we follow throughout the film. It's very much his journey to find home and, you know, his family that is the kind of emotional crux that holds the story together. And that really took me by surprise because we haven't had that in these films before. So it was great to see that, you know, these titans who are the main selling point for the films are actually given some focus beyond just the city smashing carnage that they are, you know, iconic for. But then that also introduces the problem on the flip side, which is while this is very clearly Kong's movie, Godzilla is completely shortchanged. You know, he's very much a side character who only comes in for the battle sequences, of which there are two. So while this film is marketed around Godzilla vs Kong, Godzilla is massively shortchanged, and that's revealed principally through how much focus gets paid to Kong. And I know, you know, logistically Godzilla's been in 2 movies before this, while Kong's only had 1, so it naturally makes sense to give him a bit more focus considering this is only his sophomore, you know, outing. But it is kind of frustrating considering Godzilla in all of his films never feels like a main character. Don't get me wrong, he's integral to, you know, winning and defeating the other titans, but he's never fleshed out enough to be anything more than, you know, just the muscle that comes in to save everybody at the end of the day, which is infuriating because I suppose this is the main spoiler. So if you've made it this far, presumably you want spoilers, but Godzilla wins the fight between Godzilla versus Kong, which felt, you know, even though I'm for Kong 100%, Godzilla needed that win because he loses in every other film. You know, that's been one of my main criticisms from Godzilla and King of the Monsters, is that, you know, he never feels like the alpha that they hype him up to be. Like, he always ends up nearly getting completely destroyed in both films, to the point where in the second one, you know, he needed the Queen of the Titans, or Mothra, to come and help him. So it was about time that Godzilla was owed a win. It just felt like a very hollow victory in this film because they don't hype Godzilla up. He doesn't get any kind of emotional attention. They spend the entire film with Kong, so you want Kong to win. So when Godzilla wins, it's kind of like a yay for Godzilla, but there's no emotional hype behind him winning for this film. The fights itself are what's going to keep people entertained. They're very fun, very kind of original with the surrounding environments, which was good to see. Especially the final fight in Hong Kong, you know, visually the neon lights of the city, paired up with Godzilla's fire, it made for some very aesthetic set pieces. Really not worth talking about the human characters. They are, I think to call them characters would be a bit too generous. Closest we come to a character is the relationship Kong has with this young girl who's deaf and communicates with Kong via sign language. It was a really kind of beautiful idea, you know, that this girl can't hear the absolute, you know, city-wide terror that goes on and isn't afraid of Kong. I thought they could have done a bit more with that in like a battle sequence. Of her being deaf, you know, just seeing it from a visual level and just taking away the sound or the music from it. I thought that would have been a really effective idea that we didn't get. Just telling it from her perspective, I think, would have been really cool. The problem of Godzilla being sidelined in this film extends to the characters from his films as well. So Kyle Chandler makes very fleeting appearances in this film. I think he was only in it for continuity because Millie Bobby Brown's also come back. Again, I don't know why she needed to be in this film, because unlike the actual character journey that she had in King of the Monsters, there's nothing resembling an arc here. Rebecca Hall and Alexander Skarsgård are the new additions to this cast. Again, they leave little to no impression. And there's this kind of technology company called Apex Cybernetics, who are just kind of corporate cash-grabbing villains. And there's nothing more to them than that. So human-wise, this film is very poorly written. There's no kind of emotional engagement with anyone beyond the little girl that Kong interacts with. And I think this film suffers more than the other MonsterVerse movies because of that. I think that even though you never 100% watch these films for the human characters, I think the first two Godzilla films and Kong at least attempted to give characters an arc, even if they were a bit cliche. Whereas, I don't know, the writers of this film don't seem to have even attempted to give characters any kind of motive. They're really missing the gravitas of, you know, Ken Watanabe from the Godzilla films, who added that like philosophical depth to the man versus nature approach, and also was one of the only characters to not see Godzilla as a monster. So there's none of that kind of human complexity, which puts all the focus on these kind of Titan fights to be these just super fun CGI fight sequences, which they are. And the other big plot point to talk about is the Mechagodzilla that we all knew was coming. Very disappointed with that, mainly because they make it this autonomous creature who breaks free from the kind of technological control that this company have over it. It starts to think and act by itself because it's like made up of the DNA neural pathways of one of King Ghidorah's heads from the previous movie. So they're hinting that it's capable of, you know, thinking for itself, which just seemed like a bizarre plot twist to have this kind of mechanism go rogue. It didn't need that, basically. All that was very rushed. You know, we spend the whole movie kind of following Millie Bobby Brown and her squad of characters to find this mech. So there's a lot of kind of anticipation to the discovery of what this corporation have been building. And then it's just this very generic CGI, kind of a cross between Transformers and Pacific Rim, who Kong and Godzilla very quickly dispatch. So I definitely think that Godzilla and Kong should have been a movie just about them. I'm not sure what the future plan is for this franchise with regards to more installments, but I think this film should have exclusively been Godzilla and Kong, because then it would have allowed enough time for Godzilla to be developed as much as Kong, and it would have put a lot more impact and stakes on their combat scenes, and then introduce this Mechagodzilla for another film. I think these films could really benefit from the kind of climactic battles that we always got in the Transformers movies, because love them or hate them, those films really knew how to combine like human scale action with this kind of, you know, citywide destruction around them. And that's a kind of balance I'm yet to see recreated in anything else. And this film completely disregards the sense of human fatalities, which at times is very effective because it means we're more engrossed in the combat sequences, but it also sticks out like a sore thumb in comparison to the other entries of this franchise, which definitely had a logistical way of looking at the scale and the impact this would have on the broader population and trying to implement measures to prevent a massive loss of human life. So yeah, there's not much I'd say beyond that. I'd say watch it for the fights, watch it for the visuals. Like I said in my what should we expect from this movie film, don't expect too much from it as a film, a narrative level. Pleasantly surprised by how much focus Kong gets and how much he's developed. You'll probably feel shortchanged by Godzilla. It's just big dumb fun, and if you're in the mood for it, it's just going to be a very easy watching ride. I think the combat is definitely improved massively in this film. The monster fights feel fresh and visually organic. But I hope you enjoyed the film, guys. My next review is going to be of the Mauritanian, just come out on Prime with Jodie Foster and Benedict Cumberbatch. So stay tuned for that. I'll be watching and reviewing that over the next couple of days. But until then, thank you for watching and see you next time.